Thanks for that. Yeah, so these are the two types of flows basically. Okay, so we will talk about more on it, like in a screen flow and process flow. Okay, so now before that, before I go there, let's imagine a scenario where in which, let's say, this approval rejection, right? I mean, now let's say after this guy, like, let's say this person has approved my loan application, then this again has to go to some other process too. I mean, this has to go to another manager. So now what we'll do is we will add one more process here. So what I'm doing is, like, I'm just creating one more level of approval level. For example, one, like, let's say this guy has approved it. So now this is mm, approval level 1. And currently I'm routing it to me only. Okay, and now okay, I'll submit this, and then here I'll just place the flow action name as let's say loan details, personal details, and okay, yeah, let's say like, let's reuse this only. So and then I mean the same flow action. So same flow action I'm using here and here. So same screen, will be displayed for this user and for this user too. So then I'll save this one. Okay, so now what I'll do is, I mean, normal I'll run the process, and here it is. So now let's say I'll go to the next screen. And so if you see here in this flow, like, we are in the stage 1, right? And in this screen, in this flow, basically you can see that, like, let's say, like, now I have to go back to the previous screen. Like, Pega has given us the button saying that, okay, back. So we haven't yet added, right? I mean, so from the day 1, we are making this application. So if you'll see that these buttons, we haven't yet configured anywhere. So, and all that we have configured, like, this checkbox, fields and everything, and tables, layout and everything. But buttons are not here, right? So now again, let's say now I realize, okay, I guess my phone number is wrong. So now what I can do is I can go back and I can change my phone number. Like, something else, or email ID, I can change it. Whatever the details that, or address that, I want to update it. I can update the address and everything. Again, I can just go to continue, and then I can choose some details here, like, I mean, fill some details here, and then again, if I'll proceed. Okay, so now if I'll show you the stages and steps, so you can see here now. So now you can see here, this stage also has process and 2 assignment shape, and this stage also has a process or a flow, and this also has 2 assignment. Okay, so now let's compare it. So now this is the first level of approval, so it has been routed to me. Okay, and now let's say I'll approve it, and now I'll submit this form. And now, okay, so now it went to this guy, like, the loan manager one. And now I realize that, okay, like, I mean, I mean, like, I have to correct the mistake. Like, for example, rejection comment, I didn't put it properly, something like that. So you can see here, I'm not able to go back. Once I submitted it, like, that's it. Like, that's the only thing, like, it's happened. So this is the difference between, one of the difference between a screen flow and a process flow. And the reason that, in this one, why I'm not able to go back to the previous assignment, because this is called as a process flow. So by looking at the both the flows, you will not be able to see it, like, so if I'll see this flow, and if I'll see, if I'll, yeah, this is a flow is already open. So now by looking at this, you cannot see that, like, I mean, I will not be able to know it, like, whether it's a screen flow and a process flow, because all the shapes are here also the screen flow also, like, you can add decision shape and all those things. So the best way basically to identify, to whether it's a stream flow or it's a process flow. So what simply that you can do is, you can go to the design tab, and then here you can see that category. So in the category, you can see here it's a screen flow. And the similar way, if you go to the other flow, and then if you go to the process tab, and you can sorry, design tab, and then you can see that the category, and it's a flow standard. Flow standard is nothing but a process flow. So that is something, like, so that's a difference, that number one. So now let's say, like, let's try write it down, the difference. So here in the process flow, the first difference we have seen that, I mean, the user cannot user can't, navigate to the previous screen, a previous screen, and here, I mean, of course, it's a opposite of it, like, user can navigate to the previous or next screen, you know, like that, and to correct their mistake or whatever, like that. So basically, the screen flow, like, I mean, we design it for one person, I mean, for example, the another difference is like, one person means why I'm saying it, because, here, in the process flow, we can route the assignments to different people, but here in the screen flow we cannot route it, I'll show you, I'll show it now. So here I'll just one, and you can stop me, wherever that you're feeling any confusion and all the stuff. So we can, okay, I'll just copy it, and all that we need to do is we have to add can't. We can't route the assignments to the multiple users. Okay, so what does it mean is, let's see it. So now let's say, for example, this is a process flow, all right? So now let's say I can say that, okay, this is the this has to be done by this is the this has to be done by a manager, like, I can route it to, let's say, that booking manager or someone. This has to be done by this person, and then again I can go back to this assignment, and then I can just say that, okay, this assignment has to be done by someone else, like, reporting manager, whoever is my reporting manager, or I can basically do that, like, the username I can just place it, and then here also I can type it, like, the manager name and all the stuff like that, but whereas if we go to our screen flow, and now in here also we have two assignments, right? So now if I double click on the assignment shape, you can see here, if you go down, you'll not see the routing option itself. Like, the Pega will not even give you the routing section, like, so for you to routing it. So, and then again, if you go here in the second assignment shape also, if you see here, no routing shape, basically, like, so all that you, like, so it's something like, we basically, that is the reason I told you, right? I mean, the screen flow normally we design it for one person. So because what will happen, like, I mean, let's say, if you don't have a screen flow, so what we have to do is, let's say if you have a long form, like, where that user has to fill, let's say I have to apply for a for a job, or let's say passport, like, I have to apply. So for the if I'm applying for the first time, then I have to enter my personal details, my address details, my let's say the educational details, everything that, I have to enter it, like, and all these things. Or let's say I'm applying for a job, I have to enter all these, the address, educational details, professional details. Then let's say if I have, like, 20 years of experience and I've worked for 10 years, 10 companies, and I have to put all that 10 company details, like, from which year to which year that I've worked, my, like, in which technology that, I've worked on. So all these things that I've entered, right? So now if I, let's imagine I've given only one form to the user, so what will happen is, like, in one screen only, the user has to scroll down and down, like, for entering all the details. But in the screen flow, what we can do is, like, we can divide that flow into multiple assignments. For example, here, I mean, we can enter only the personal details, and then a user will enter only the loan details. And the third screen, user will enter only address details. Fifth screen, user will enter only the professional details or educational details, like that. So we can divide it, and then of course we know that, like, in the screen flow, we can easily, go back and the previous. For example, after entering it, like, by mistake I've submitted it also, I don't have to be worried, because, I have to basically, like, I can easily go back and correct my mistake, and all these things. So basically, in the review screen, we give one harness section also, like, means, that review screen also. Review screen means, let's say whatever that I have entered in this previous two screen, like, we can have it, like, one more assignment as a review. So review details. Okay, so I'm just saving it for now. I mean, nothing, I don't have to do anything. So here. Okay, so now what will happen is, now if I'll apply for a loan, and then I'll enter all this detail, loan details, and I'll enter, like, yeah, here I'll enter loan details and everything. I'll submit that, and then here in the third screen, I mean, of course we haven't yet designed, right? I mean, now that we know the process of, how we can design the screen, like, we have to create, or we have to reuse the same property sections, and we have to display that field in the read only mode, and all that we know it now. So everything will show it here, and then I can just review it before I finally submit the screen. Like, before I finally submit the screen, or we can add a label on the top saying that, this is the last screen, before submit, please, review all your details. And like that, we can just give that so that the user will review all the details, whatever that user has entered in the from first form to last form. And then once, let's say, he realized, okay, he has given address details wrong, or like, educational details wrong, or like, whatever the details that he has made it wrong, then again he can easily go back to that previous screen. Let's say I have entered loan amount wrong, so then I can just correct my loan amount, and then I can easily go back. Sorry, I can continue it, and then finally, like, if I feel that yes, everything looks good, and then I can just continue it, and so that, like, I'll submit my application for the approval. So that is a ring. So this is the reason, like, I mean, the screen flow, I mean, the important thing, like, again, it's been asked in an interview, like, not either they can ask you directly, or they can ask you different ways, saying they can say that, okay, like, let's say, I have a screen flow, and then in the screen flow, I have to route, and the screen flow, I have three assignments or four assignments, and I have to route these assignments to multiple people, a different people, just to confuse you, like, they'll ask you like that. So of course the answer is, like, of course, no. I mean, it's not even possible, like, so even the routing option only that I've shown you, right? I mean, if you double click on the assignment, you won't be able to see the routing section itself, so you won't be able to route it basically. So routing, sorry, the screen flow, basically we do it or prepare it only for one person, like, not for, like, multiple people, like that, just to divide two different big form, two different forms, like that. Okay, so but it doesn't mean that you cannot route the assignment. So I mean, you can route the assignment. I mean, I mean, doesn't mean that you cannot do a, I mean, do a routing in the screen flow. So if you click on the start shape of the of the screen flow. So if you double click on it, and then you can see that the routing option is over here. So that means that, you can route the entire screen flow. Like, for example, let's say all these details has to be filled by a manager, like, because once he has approved it, so he has to approve in many areas. Like, let's say the one area that he has to approve it on, let's say I'm the insurance manager. Okay, so once I'm approving it, then I have to approve, okay, like, let's say the earthquake, whether that place or the building, let's say the company, like, let's say the TCS company has came to me that, they have a big campus, and they want to do insurance of that big campus, like, because of some earthquake comes and all the stuff. So if I'm the approver, like, of that insurance provider, then I have to approve in a many factor. Let's say I have to just check, okay, whether that campus comes under the earthquake area or not. Then after submit that, and then next I'll approve it based on the based on the area and everything, like, that will be different factors will involved over there. So in that case, let's say the entire screen flow that I have to route to the insurance manager, then in that case also, I mean, instead of, like, showing everything in a one screen, we can show them, like, in different screen in the form, like, and we can divide that in assignments, and that's it. Like, I mean, like, I mean, the user, and all that we need to do is, I mean, we have to just double click on it, and we have to just go here and route it to. I mean, we have to just say that, okay, it has to go to that LA manager. So this entire assignment, sorry, entire flow, not assignment, will be done by that particular operator only. Yeah, basically, like, the design type, the Pega sees, okay, so for screen flow, then the Pega will show assignment shape only based on that only. Like, if it's a screen flow, then the Pega will show on the assignment only those details which are related to only screen flow. Otherwise, here you will not see any other details, basically. Like that. And let's say if you have to create a screen flow, and now, like, let's say, like, how we have to create it. Now if I do a right click, and you can see here process, and then the process, if you want to create a flow. So now Okay, so here, like, let's say I'm creating one sample flow here, and then I'll create it. And then you can see here it got created as it got created as a process flow. So, and then the similar way, I mean, it's for the screen flow, there is not a separate rule name. It's only there itself, like, you have to create it. Again, in the similar way, like, you have to go to a flow. And let's say, like, I'm saying it as a screen and screen flow. And then what you have to do is, there's a link, right? If we just click on this link, and here we can just say that, okay, so it's a, like, standard template for the screen flow. If you choose this, then the Pega will, Pega will create a screen flow for you. Yes, 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 yeah. Automatically, you mean that this is a flow, right? Yes, yes, yeah. So every time, let's say if I'm adding any flow or something assignment and any decision tree, so here I don't have to say to the Pega that, no, look, this assignment is for a screen flow, something like that. So once you are creating a new flow, then there itself, you have to give option whether you are creating a screen flow or a process flow. Then based on that only, the Pega will show you some limited shapes. For a screen flow, there are some limited shapes are there, which will the Pega will not show. For example, send email shape, you will not find it there. There are many other shapes too that you won't be able to find it, like integration shapes. You won't be able to find it. So all that you need to do is, while creating it itself, like, you have to just say, okay, whether it's a screen flow or a process flow, and then here, by using this, you can just say that, okay, like, this is what my screen flow is. So sorry, I think okay. So like that. So once once it's a screen flow, then the Pega will categorize it, like, with this like, or whatever it's a screen flow or a flow standard. So whenever the whatever that you added from here on, like, the Pega will not I mean, the Pega will, like, it's something internal code only, like, so we don't have to be worry about, okay, like, whether Pega will add a decision shape or not, but like that. So Pega knows that, okay, like, what the, internally, that what has Pega has to do it, basically. Is it clear? I mean, all that you need to do is, like, here itself, like the category itself, just see it, like, what it is. It's a screen flow or a process flow, and that's it, basically. And then, of course, that while creating it, I've shown you, right? I mean, something that the Pega doesn't give, like, for example, decisions. I mean, of course, the decisions will do the same job, but for creating a decision table, Pega has given a different decision table, decision tree. But flows, basically, like, Pega, of course, divided the flows into multiple types. I mean, the Pega has, multiple types of flows, but for creating screen flow, process flow, the Pega didn't say that, okay, whether are you creating a screen flow, process flow. So all that you need to do is, you have to first select the flow only. But that here, I mean, before creating, let's say, like, just if you're creating a process flow, so don't forget to check this box here. So once you done that, so then only, like, just if you say create and open, then it will open a, like, screen flow for you. If you go here, like, it will be a like that screen flow. So, yeah. Then, yeah, and then all the thing, like, so we don't have to worry about, okay, will the this is a screen flow, so let me add the back button, or, like, continue button. So based on that, Pega will itself, like, will add Pega itself, like, will add all the buttons, like back button and all those things. So this is a process flow, right? I mean, now this Pega will not add, like, for these flow actions, whatever the flow action that you mention under the assignment shape of the or flow under the process flow, the Pega, like, handles. There is a visible when condition in that Pega screen itself, like, to show which button to at what time. So if that button visibility condition is, like, if it's a screen flow, that back button will never ever come to on your screen, basically. So it's something that, it's already handled by the Pega itself. So we don't have to worry about, about all internal coding. So all that we need to do is, like, I mean, just to verify whether is our routing is done properly, or the screens or section flow actions have been created properly, sections, validations, all that stuff. Okay, so then, okay, the third one, basically, it's about flow action itself. Like, so normally, we can have multiple flow action in one assignment shape. And also we specify the flow action in the connector of the flow of the assignment sheet. Okay, so and then again I'll just copy it and I'll paste it as a third differentiation between the screen flow and the process flow that we uh, then that is that we can, we cannot, basically not all that we need to as it we can't, like, whatever that we can do it in a process flow, or we can't do it over here. So we can't have the multiple flow action in one assignment, and also we specify the flow action inside the assignment shape. Okay, so what I mean is, now if I'll now that we know, right, I mean that cycle that we know, I've already told you, right, I mean the process, then the then properties, we refer it in a section, we refer it in a flow action, the flow action comes under the flow. So for both these screens, like, let's say I'll open for both these details, like for both, like, for this process flow, sorry, for the screen flow, and as well as for process flow, if we have to show a screen, we have to create a flow action. All right, so now this is a process flow, right? If I like double click on it, you can see here routings, SLA, and everything over here, but you won't be able to find the flow action name. But now if I double click on this connector, right, this assignment shape, so this is basically called as connectors. Like, whatever the arrows that you're seeing, right, those are called connectors in Pega. So whatever the connectors that you can see next to this assignment shape, there only that you have to specify the flow action. So now if I'll double click on this assignment shape connector, you can see here I can specify the flow action over here. Like, that what is that we have specified here, flow action name. But whereas if I'll go to a screen flow, and now if I double click on the connector, so this is assignment shape, we know that, and this is a connector which is next to, I mean, which is attached to this assignment shape. Now if I'll double click on it, I mean, it is just a label the Pega is giving. Okay, just give the label of the flow action, what you can give it. But here Pega does not provide you, and you can't basically give the flow action name. So where that you have to give the flow action name, it's inside the assignment shape. So now if I double click on the assignment shape, so here you can see that there's a flow action name, that we have it. So there is another difference between process flow and and the screen flow. Okay, so that is the one. And then, okay, so what another thing that why I have inserted, like, we can have multiple flow actions. So multiple flow action means if like, I cannot have here and here. Of course I can attach a connector here and here, but you can see here, like, I mean the flow action will remain the same, the flow action name will be the same. But whereas in the process flow, I can have, sorry, let's say here, and then here I can give another flow action, like, let's say review detail something, like that. So here I can give one assignment, and here I can also give one, sorry, flow action and another flow action, like this, like that. So this is something, we have it. Okay, so and the question will be like, other, and here the question can come as, I mean, like, let's say I have this flow action, like, here also I have to approve reject, and then here also, like, let's say in the flow here, uh, and here also I have a flow action here, right? So which one, like, the which screen, like, so now we know that this flow action screen also, in this flow action, there will be a section which is called as a screen. And here also in this flow action also, there will be a section which is a screen. So which screen basically the Pega will show? Like, once we come to this assignment, so will the Pega will show this flow action or this flow action? So any guesses, I mean, how the Pega can be able to do it? Or like, for example, decisions, you can see that by based on this decision, whatever we apply here, Pega will take the appropriate path. But in this case, we are not putting any condition, nothing like that. So how how do you think, like, the Pega will show the flow action with this one, or let's just put the label A1 or A2? So which one the Pega will show? Well, sure that right. You guessed it A2 or who guessed A2? Hmm. Okay, are you there? Or A2 only? Okay, so all the votes for A2? Okay. Okay. So basically, okay, I'll tell the answer. Like, so basically, when the Pega comes into this kind of a scenario where in the one assignment chip, the Pega comes into two flow actions, then the Pega will say, okay, if I double click on it, the Pega will say, okay, the likelihood value. So this is what here. So the Pega will say like which score is large. Now if I'll give and the likelihood value also we can give from 0 to 100. So now I have given let's say 260 here, and then I'll double click here and I'll double click here and I'll give 40 here. So now the Pega will when the Pega will come to the situation, and then when you are having like two assignments, I mean there are two flow actions in one assignment ship, so just make sure that your likelihood is correct. Otherwise, the Pega will I mean which screen basically by default that you have to show as soon as the user opens the assignment, which screen that you have to open it, that likelihood that you can just increase that score. That's it. You can just 60. So now in this case, A2 I have given the more score, right? Then A2 will come like the Pega will display the A2 one, and then the A1 will just be there in the side, like the side, like for example, the Pega will I'll submit this here. So now the Pega, will show this one, like I'm sorry, you one. So now the Pega will show the A2 one here, and then because this full action I have to have I mean, given the more score, right, likelihood, right, and then other one, like we can see it here, like in this, like we just can configure it, and when one of the actions, it will be available over here. And then the Pega is, I mean, if the user has to work on that one, then the user can choose from this action drop down and basically can work on that. Basically I didn't save that the flow, basically that's the reason, like that that flow action, basically it's not visible on this action drop down. Otherwise if I would have saved it, then that another flow action would have been come here, and then like that. So this is an like important thing which to monitor, like so the likelihood value. Okay, and then here simply and then let's say like in the worst case, let's say I forgot to give 100, and I mean change that one because by default if you have seen, right, I mean the Pega always give 100 by default. So in that case, you can basically check that. I mean you can just implement that. So in that case, basically the Pega try to see the alphabetical order. For example, this flow action name is approve reject, and this flow action name is review. So alphabetical order means A will comes first, right? The Pega will display this flow action on the top, like that. So if the likelihood is the same. Otherwise, if the likelihood that if you're given the more score to this even, then the Pega will show even. Even though this full action name start with Z also, Z only, like that, whatever. In the similar way, for the decisions also, you will see the likelihood actually. So I can see here the likelihood here as well. So like in the decision one also, like if which condition, for example, here I have given when condition, and here I also have given when condition, and another there is a condition I have given a when condition. So which condition the Pega evaluate first, that you can decide again, based on this likelihood basically. So there, then there like this for this kind of a situation, the likelihood comes into the picture. So that is the reason I've mentioned here in the screen flow, like we can have multiple flow actions in a one assignment basically, like and also like that. And but in the screen flow, we cannot have like screen flow I've shown you, right? I mean because flow action is specified and inside the assignment chip, so we cannot have multiple flow actions for one assignment chip. So that's another difference that we have it. Okay, and then okay, and then the fourth one that we have is just refresh this. Okay, so okay, the styling basically, like now let's say I don't I've run the process, and I don't like the cycle. I mean the look and feel of this. Like you can see that on the top, the whatever the assignments, because this is a screen flow, right? And the whatever that assignment or user has to fill all these details. So by looking at this on the top, the heading itself, I can just know that okay, I have to now I'm in the personal details. Next I have to enter the loan details, and next I have to review my details, like that. So here, basically like you'll not see that basically like here I mean, let's say I don't like the styling of it, like on all those things, I have to display it in some other way. So all that we can do is, if you go to that approval, like I mean this screen flow, if you double click on this start shape, and then you can just choose a harness. Basically, now that by default it will be use case policy, case type policy. If you just expand this, and then if you just custom, so there are many harness basically. So a few of them is, let's say, tabbed harness, tab screen flow. Okay, so now if you see the tab screen flow, now I have saved it. So now let's say if now the user is trying to create a loan application form. So you can see that UI has entirely changed. And what has changed, because I have said tabbed one. So tabbed one means, like, you can see that, I mean, all the assignments, now you can see it in the tabbed format. So now the first is the internal form, internal personal details. Then the next is, if I click on the loan details, it's a loan details one. And then, if I'll fill that with like that. And then you can see that buttons also changed. So now I can go back and go next, again, and then go back, and then you can see that this is the first one, so no back button. So all these things, basically the Pega has written a visible condition in which situation, like, the back button should come, in which condition that next button, should be visible. And then if I go to the last assignment, I mean the last screen, so you can see that now there is no next button. It's not normally the finish button is there. So everything, like, so if you want to see it, like, okay, what is the section and all these things. So simply, for your loan learning and all this stuff. So so what you can simply do is you can just go to the live UI. So I've already told you, right? I mean, whenever that you want to see the section name and all the stuff, just go to the live UI and just click on this button, and then just go here, that harness, and then inside the harness, basically you can see this buttons. So all that you can just open it up, and then you can see it, okay, what is the visible. So you can see that, visibility conditions and all these things. You can see that. So, and then let's say there is a requirement that, there is a requirement that, the client will tell you, okay, I don't want this finish button. I want to change the label of this button to complete. So all that you can do is, again, now you know it how to open the section. Simply you can just save as this harness, to your rule set version. By default, this is a Pega's rule. So you can see here, this is inside the Pega rule set version, not like, Pega end users one. So our rule set is different. So the Pega will not allow you to change anything inside their rule sets. So all that you need to do is you have to just save as this rule into your rule set. I mean, this is our rule set, a loan application. And then if you just create an open, then you can see that the Pega, can avoid it. So now let's change this to complete. So that's it. I've saved it. So now let's say I'll go next and next. So now I can see that the label has changed to complete, like that. So basically we get these kind of requirements. So basically, where in which, like, we might have to modify the Pega's custom code also. Custom code means, let's say, some visibility condition or label too, like, because Pega has given their own labels, but we cannot guarantee that, the Pega client will also ask the same labels, because every client will have a different requirement. So based on this, you can, go ahead, change the labels or whatever that. But only one thing that you have to remember before changing any rule, any section rule, full action, property, or data transform. So that, if you have to modify it first, that, I mean, that if it's a Pega's out of the box rule, you will see that, inside the Pega's rule set version. All that first you have to save as into your rule set versions, and then only you can be able to any update and all the stuff. So yep, so that is it, like an offer for me, like, for this screen flow and process flow. Yeah, so and this is the, like, way, like, you can change basically to, like that.